hope you like my story, 'cause it's true. All the years of love and glory that I knew. Chicago, New York, and Las Vegas, Hollywood, Hoboken too. The world out there is my oyster, and I owe it all to you. Now here's to the ladies, always sweet and true. And here's to my buddies, Dean and Sammy too. Let's all...
She gets too hungry for dinner at 8.
He calls himself a saloon singer.
She likes the theater.
He's been in a few saloons.
Never comes late.
You can hear it in his voice.
She'd never bother.
Late nights, too many cigarettes.
With people she'd hate.
Not enough liquor to kill the pain.
That's why the lady is a tramp.
And he hobnobbed with some pretty uptown friends. He collaborated with a count, dallied with a duke or two, played with a princess.
Sensational. That's all.
He even sang a duet with leader of the Rat Pack, chairman of the board, or Old Blue Eyes. When he was young, they called him Frankie.
Hi, Frankie.
Or simpler still, The Voice.
Sunset, what makes the moon rise? Is it my love for you?
But the man himself never claimed any royal title, and the nicknames really didn't do him justice. The son of immigrants, the skinny kid from Hoboken, New Jersey, grew up to be a force in national politics. His mother would have loved that. He was a friend to the most powerful and respected people in America. They said he was so thin, if he turned sideways and stuck out his tongue, he'd look like a zipper. Those mobs of girls in bobby socks didn't see it that way. When he sang, there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
Just one of those.
This saloon singer started making records when they spun at 78 revolutions per minute on the old Victrola. He was 23 years old. Since then, he's made a stack of hits on 45 RPM singles, swinging LPs at 33 1/3, 8-track, cassette, CD, mono and stereo, quadraphonic, Dolby, surround sound. That voice had been heard on every form of recording device invented, analog or digital.
I didn't know what time it was till I met you. If they ask me, I could write a book about the way you walk and whisper and look.
In each new era, in each new medium, this saloon singer made new recordings for new generations of listeners. Millions of fans who never even heard of bobby socks.
One of the most important albums of my life, 15 years old, sitting in a window, looking at the moon, listening to that album, just got a new copy.
His own radio shows, then television series. There were times he seemed on top of the world.
I've got the world on a string, and I'm sitting on a rainbow. Got the string around my finger. What a world, what a life, I'm in love.
Other times, that voice told us about hurt.
It's the wrong song in the wrong style. Though your smile is lovely, it's the wrong smile. It's not her smile, but such a lovely smile. So it's all right
show me anyone else in the business who has lasted as long and is as big still today.
When he's singing, I'm a fool to want you, or why try to change me now, he's bleeding internally. He's mournful over the loss of something, a love, a friendship, a relationship.
Movie film first captured that voice and face when movies were in black and white.
Keep doing that. I'll have to find something to take its place.
Monkey is never dead, dealer. The monkey never dies. When you kick him off, he just hides in a corner waiting his turn.
He reached into his soul, showed us the raw emotions in our own hearts. Movies went to color, and so did he, showing his soul through those expressive blue eyes.
I gets weary and so sick of trying. I'm tired of living.
I just live my life as I see fit, and I do what I want. I have a ball.
He's loved a lot of women, and married 4 of them. He's broken a few hearts, but he's been hurt himself. He's had more highs in a lifetime than 10 men. Oscars, Emmys, Grammys, international recognition. But he's also had lows, heavy ones. Public fights, a son kidnapped, a mother dead in a tragic accident, outliving his friends in the autumn of his years. But as one of his famous lyrics stated, that's life. Each time he picked himself up and got back in the race. He retired twice, but kept coming back for more because the public wanted him. Past Social Security age, this saloon singer played to SRO crowds in Las Vegas, went on to tour with old friends.
We've loved each other, respected each other. We haven't always agreed with each other, but the respect was always there.
And made 2 albums with a collection of the greatest musical talents alive.
Frankie is a man of many, many colors, and some of them very few people know.
Saloon singer, actor, legend. More than anyone else in entertainment history, more than Al Jolson or Bing Crosby, Michael Jackson or Elvis Presley, his name is synonymous with American music.
That's why the lady, that's why the lady, that's why the lady is a tramp.
The name is Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra's life was uniquely American, reflecting the ups and downs of a tumultuous century. Like all Americans, his story really began somewhere else. Ellis Island, port of entry for immigrants from all nations, all religions, all colors. They poured into New York and then across the United States, hoping that the real America was half as good as the America they dreamed about in Europe. Martin Anthony Sinatra came from a family of grape growers, basic, hardworking, earthy people. He made extra money prize fighting in clubs and impromptu exhibitions. In those days, boxers were stereotyped to be Irish, so he changed his name to Marty O'Brien when he was in the ring. An Italian name might have worked against him in those days before Rocky Graziano and Jake LaMotta. Frank Sinatra's mother was always known as Dolly, though her full name was really Natalie Catherine Garavente. She was as much a fighter as Marty. She had to be, an Italian in a rough Irish neighborhood. Marty and Dolly fell in love. It was a storybook romance. Like Romeo and Juliet, their families didn't approve. But Marty and Dolly didn't let someone else decide their lives for them. They married on Valentine's Day, and the families reconciled. Marty operated a tavern and picked up occasional bit parts in silent movies shot in New Jersey. Dolly's growing political connections helped Marty get a job with the mostly Irish Hoboken Fire Department. Francis Albert Sinatra debuted on December 12, 1915, when Dolly went into labor in this Coldwater flat in Hoboken, New Jersey. It was painful. The doctor ended up using forceps to deliver the child, puncturing the baby's eardrum and scarring his ear, cheek, and neck. The baby wasn't breathing. The doctor nearly gave him up for dead. Little Francis Albert entered the world changing from 19th century industry to 20th century technology, and America transforming from a young nation into a world power. The new technologies would influence the little boy as much as he would later influence them. The phonograph was still a primitive novelty, but this spinning black disc brought world-class music into every home, like the singing of Enrico Caruso. Through the magic of recordings, singers like Caruso, Harry Lauder, and Frank Munn could perform for millions instead of hundreds. Popular songs of the era hadn't changed a lot since the 1880s. Marconi patented wireless transmission, the technical grandfather of radio and television. By sending out electrical impulses on radio waves, sounds could be picked up by receivers anywhere. Some visionaries imagined a visual form of radio, with live pictures to go along with the sound. When Sinatra was a boy, that was science fiction. The most popular form of cheap entertainment, movies, showed promise if you had a little imagination. Movie makers experimented with color, even tried synchronizing sound with pictures.
I've been put down into the merry old soul, but that's all a joke, you see. That's all a joke, you see.
Most of the world, at least most of Europe, was at war. President Woodrow Wilson had kept America out of the war since 1914, but ended up sending American doughboys over there under General Pershing. Young Frank Sinatra was still in diapers. Thousands of troops passed through East Coast ports on their way overseas. To keep them safe and sober, President Wilson closed down the waterfront saloons. Prohibition got a head start in Hoboken, 2 years before the rest of the country went dry. This might have spelled trouble for a certain tavern owner named Marty Sinatra, except that local police didn't enforce liquor laws. They looked the other way for a price. Northern New Jersey became a base of operations for bootleggers. If you lived in Hoboken, it was next to impossible not to associate with gangsters and hoods. They were your neighbors, your pals, the people with whom you grew up. Growing up in the ethnic stew of urban America made young Francis Albert understand very early that color and religion didn't matter. It was what you were inside. Were you loyal? Honest? If so, you were all right. Years later, Sinatra recalled his Hoboken roots in a short film called The House I Live In. The boys in this movie were no different than the ones Sinatra knew as a kid.
You bet. We're not smearing.
Yeah, but 10 against 1. It's not very fair.
Ah, come on. Come on. Yeah.
What's it all about?
Your business.
Scared to tell me?
No, I'm not scared. I'll fight you even.
And if I can help it, I just want to know why the gang war.
We don't like him. We don't want him in our neighborhood or going to our school. I've been living here as long as you.
What's he got, smallpox or something?
We don't like his religion.
His religion?
Look, mister, he's a dirt...
Now, hold on. I see what you mean. You must be a bunch of those Nazi werewolves I've been reading about.
Sinatra and director Mervyn LeRoy worked with writer Albert Maltz to make the film. Though it was primarily made as propaganda for the World War II war effort, its message of tolerance was Frank's personal statement, one that he repeated all his life.
Plenty of it, because that Jap was throwing up enough flak to get out and walk home on. But the pilot had only one thing on his mind, to get over that ship. And he did. And then the bombardier pushed a button and a 500-pound tomato smacked that Jap right in the middle. Yep, they sank it. And every American threw his head back and felt much better. The pilot of that ship was named Colin Kelly, an American and a Presbyterian. And you know who dropped the bombs? Meyer 11, an American and a Jew. You think maybe they should have called the bombing off because they had different religions? Think about that, fellas. Use your good American heads. Don't let anybody make suckers out of you. Well, Gotta go to work.
What do you work?
I sing.
Ah, you're a kid.
Come here. Now you all stand here, and no hissing allowed.
What is America to me? A name, a map, or a flag I see? A certain word, democracy. What is America to me? A house I live in, a plot of earth, a street, the grocer and the butcher, and the people that I meet, the children in the playground, the faces that I see, all races and religions, that's America to me. The things I see about me, the big things and the small, the little corner newsstand and the house a mile tall, the wedding and the churchyard, the laughter and the tears, the dream that's been a-growing for 150 years. The town I live in, the street, the house, the room, pavement of the city, or a garden all in bloom, the church, the school, the clubhouse, the million lights I see, but especially the people. That's America to me.
So long, men.
The team of Sinatra, Leroy, and Maltz received an honorary Oscar at the 1946 Academy Awards. Sinatra spent his boyhood in the Roaring '20s, a time of flappers dancing the Charleston in illegal bars called speakeasies. Gangsters, big and little, made fortunes supplying home-brewed beer and poison gin that would make one go drunk and blind in that order. The stilted, old-fashioned Stephen Foster songs and Irving Berlin-type tunes got competition in Tin Pan Alley. Popular music reflected a new influence, jazz. The older generation saw jazz as a corrupting influence on impressionable youth. That wouldn't be the last time somebody would use that line for music that was new. Jazz and its second cousin, the blues, stemmed from the black experience in the South and inner cities. Its unique phrasing and offbeat rhythms were often informal and improvised. Trumpeter Louis Armstrong, pianist Duke Ellington, and singer Bessie Smith led the way. George Gershwin picked up the beat. Later on, the soulful laments of Billie Holiday would play an essential part in Frank Sinatra's personal style. Billie Holiday was far and away Sinatra's favorite singer. The sad life of Lady Day came through in her voice. The lyrics came alive with heartbreak.
God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own.
On movie screens, Rudolph Valentino wooed swooning women as the Sheik, and it was suddenly okay to be Italian. The 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. Dolly Sinatra became active in the Democratic Party, though Republican Warren Harding was elected president.
They looked upon her for favors from time to time. Dolly, in developing friendships with the local clergy, with the local police department, with the local fire department, and then eventually the local politicians. It just all grew from that. She was, like her son, very charismatic, and they came to her when there was a problem.
With Harding's death in 1923, Calvin Coolidge took over the White House. "Keep cool with Coolidge," the slogan said. But jazz got hotter and crime got wilder. 1927, talking pictures were born. Warner Brothers made The Jazz Singer and ushered in an era of all talking, all singing, all dancing extravaganzas. Frank Sinatra was 12 years old. Scientists experimented with bulky cathode ray devices and national broadcast relays. Radio connected America with instant information and shared entertainment. Rudy Valley became the first radio crooner to achieve superstar status. Dolly Sinatra threw herself and her son into the 1928 presidential campaign. Young Frank carried red, white, and blue placards in rallies for Democrat Al Smith. Little Frank didn't understand the resistance to Al Smith. People said since Smith was a Catholic, he'd take his orders from the Vatican. Even at 13, Frank knew that wasn't true. But Mr. Smith didn't go to Washington. Republican Herbert Hoover promised a chicken in every pot and 2 cars in every garage. Hoover said that prosperity was just around the corner. America turned the corner and bumped right into the Great Depression. Teenaged Frank Sinatra wasn't a very good student. He did manage to graduate from David R. Rue Junior High School, but quit senior high within a year. He squeaked through a semester of business school to satisfy the legal education requirements, and that was enough. It was the Depression, but there was work if you looked hard. He got a job at the shipyards, which taught him 2 important things. First, he learned he had fear of heights. Second, it wasn't much fun hanging over a 40-foot shaft catching hot rivets. Family connections got him other jobs. None lasted very long. In 1934, he spent a summer with his Aunt Josie in Long Branch, New Jersey. Vacationing across the road was a 17-year-old girl named Nancy Barbato. Her father, Mike, was a plastering contractor. Frank managed to get a job from him. He didn't do that very well either. Mike ended up replastering most of the 18-year-old kid's work. But the young Frank was luckier with Nancy. They fell in love. And they happened to see a local performance by the biggest singing star of the 30s. Bing Crosby was the idol of millions, including Sinatra. Critics called him the groaner for his deep tones. His ride to the top was a pattern for Sinatra's own career. A singer with a vocal group on stage and radio, then as a headliner with a band, solo performances, recordings, then films.
Hey, come out of the clouds, come down to earth. You're in Hollywood, California.
Yes, I know. This is Hollywood, isn't it? Everything's a motion picture set. It's all artificial. The costumes, the scenery, the people.
You're telling me?
Yes, I'm telling you. You're just part of this. You belong here. Possibly you're just as fake as the scenery.
Come, let us go down Lover's Lane.
Both men would eventually win Oscars for dramatic roles. It occurred to Sinatra that he might actually make a living as a singer.
Auf Wiedersehen, my dear.
When Bing appeared live on stage at some theater in New Jersey, I believe it was at that time that Frank thought it was relatively easy, that Bing's style and way of singing was so effortless. He went ahead and paid for his own PA system and dragged it from place to place, doing weddings and bar mitzvahs, I guess, at church socials.
And I wouldn't talk that way about Sinatra.
I don't mean to malign Mr. Sinatra, because I'm a great fan of his, a great admirer of his private and public life.
And furthermore, singers like Sinatra come once in a lifetime.
Why did he have to come along in my lifetime?
Like Star Search decades later, Major Beau's Amateur Hour featured non-professional talent in competition. Major Bose banged a gong to cut off anybody who didn't cut the mustard.
Its base of operations was New York, and people would come from all over the country to appear on the show. They would audition first, and then if they passed the audition, they would appear on the show.
Thrown together with 3 other guys, Sinatra became a part of the Hoboken Four at the Capitol Theater in New York, winning first prize on September 8, 1935. Major Bose put all 4 of the boys under contract and toured the country with a live show.
We start the dizzy spin of the Wheel of Fortune.
Around, around she goes, and where she stops, nobody knows.
We have now the Hoboken Four. They call themselves the Singing and Dancing Fools.
Who'll speak for the group? I will. I'm Frank. We're looking for jobs. How about it?
Everyone that's ever heard us liked us. We think we're pretty good.
All right. What do you want to sing or dance or whatever it is you do?
Well, we're going to sing Shine, and then we're going to dance.
All right. Let's have it. Hoboken Four.
We'll shine up to you. Everybody's gonna hide you, dear. You'll make the whole world shine.
Shine and sway your bluesy. Shine, start with your shoesy. You'll make the whole world shine.
Nancy Barbato encouraged her boyfriend to keep pushing, keep trying. Frank began working steadily as a singer. Like his dad becoming Marty O'Brien in the boxing ring, Sinatra felt a name change would help. As Frankie Trent, he got a gig at the Rustic Cabin in Alpine, New Jersey. For a year, he sang while accompanied by a blind piano player.
I ain't gonna be around here long enough to let him bother me. I'm gonna get me a job in a big-name band.
You're kidding.
Guy just says that I'm a natural. I got everything planned, too. Gonna call myself Jack Duval.
Probably I ain't gonna see you around so much then, huh?
Yeah, maybe I can set something up for you. Carrying the instruments or something.
Wow!
Traveling around the country, high-type nightclubs. How's that sound to you, punk?
When is it gonna be? When?
Right away, today. I'm the kind of guy, boy, when I move, watch my smoke.
1939. America emerged from the Great Depression under President Franklin Roosevelt. There might be a war in Europe, but that was on the other side of the Atlantic. America was poised on the brink of tomorrow. The streamlined New York World's Fair promised a streamlined future. Maybe this time prosperity really was just around the corner. For Frank Sinatra, it seemed like a good time to get married and start a family, if not settle down. They married on February 4th at Our Lady of Sorrows Church in Jersey City. Less than 5 months later, Frank was singing with the Harry James Band at the Hippodrome in Baltimore, Maryland. Harry and Frank always got along, a couple of skinny guys who loved music and women. They were the same age and understood each other's drive to get ahead, to make it on his own. James had split from the Benny Goodman Band to form his own group. Sinatra recorded From the Bottom of My Heart with Harry James and his band that July, followed by a big hit, All or Nothing at All. The label said Harry James and his orchestra with Frank Sinatra. 4 years later, the recording company re-released the same song, only now the label read Frank Sinatra with the Harry James Orchestra.
Saturday night is the loneliest night of the week, 'cause that's the night that my sweetie and I used to dance cheek to cheek. I don't mind Sunday night at all, 'cause that's the night friends come to call, and Monday to Friday go fast, and another week is past. Saturday night is the loneliest night of the week. I sing the song that I sang for the memories I usually see, until I hear you at the door, until you're in my arms once more. Saturday night is the loneliest night of the week. the door until you're in my arms once more. Saturday night is the loneliest night of the week.
Despite the ribbing he took from Crosby, they became close friends, not rivals. Frank only sang with the band a little over 6 months, but he had an offer to join the Tommy Dorsey Band. Dorsey offered more money, and Frank needed it. Nancy was pregnant. Harry understood. He tore up their contract, and they remained good friends. Sinatra performed with the Harry James Orchestra the year Harry died, 1987. By January 1940, he played his last gig with Harry's band at the Shea Theater in Buffalo. Also on the bill were a couple of performers longing for the big time, an acrobat named Burt Lancaster, and a wild red-headed comedian named Red Skelton. Frank went home to spend a little time with Nancy, very little as it turned out. By the end of January, he was on the road again. Tommy Dorsey led the greatest all-round dance band of the 1930s and 1940s. Other bands swung further, like Duke Ellington's. Some had more distinctive sounds. But under Dorsey's leadership, his singers and sidemen made more kinds of beautiful music than any other group. Dorsey was a brilliant musician and a hard taskmaster with an acid tongue. He and Sinatra were both headstrong perfectionists. Dorsey had broken up with his brother Jimmy in 1935, and ill feelings remained for years.
What was that for? That's for playing it too fast. No musician could do that to me in public, not even my own brother. When it comes to leading a band, I don't need any advice from you.
Look, let's play the numbers right or not play them at all.
All right, we won't play them at all.
If you walk out now, it's for good.
Okay, for good.
Sinatra frequently harmonized with other singers in addition to his solo numbers. Years later, he reminisced with the Hi-Lo's about singing with a vocal group.
You wouldn't be happy singing in a vocal group, Frank.
Are you kidding? I started out with you're very young. I started with a vocal group.
What made you give it up?
I got a stiff neck from standing this way.
Gee, you must go way back.
You call Major Boza way back.
Major who?
I don't know. Was that your CO in World War II? No, before that.
Try World War I.
Oh, you whippersnappers. All right, now look, you surely remember the 40s, don't you?
Well, yeah.
Well, you'd better. Okay, now what was the big singing group with whose big band?
Modern Airs with Glenn Miller.
Well, I can't knock your taste.
The King Sisters with Alvino Ray.
No, I'm thinking of another group with another trombone player.
Tommy Dorsey.
Right.
You sang with the Pied Piper?
You got it, Gus.
Then you must be that guy.
That's me.
I know, you're Joe Stafford.
Ooh, good That's a fella, fellas.
I'll never smile again until I smile at you.
Frank Sinatra was on the road with the band when his first child was born on June 4th, 1940. Nancy Sinatra Jr. would get used to that as she grew up. Having Dad on the road was a part of her life, literally from day one. Sinatra wasn't the only one on the move. FDR got elected to an unprecedented third term as president, one constant in a world turning upside down. America was still officially neutral, but Hitler's Nazi armies spread through Europe. Sinatra sang with the Dorsey Band in Las Vegas Nights. This was the dusty Vegas before Bugsy Siegel invented the glitz and glamour. Later in the year, Billboard magazine named Sinatra #1 on the College Music Survey. The sudden entry of the U.S. into World War II disrupted most American lives. Sinatra was no exception. His career was just taking off. He didn't want to get killed or maimed. He had a wife and a baby that needed him. But he loved his country. On a cold winter day, he reported to his local draft board, willing to fight for the principles he believed. As it turned out, they wouldn't take him. The punctured eardrum he had since birth got him classified 4F, unfit for military service. Sinatra's lack of a uniform didn't stop him from serving his country. With other stars, he toured to raise money for war bonds. He even got to sing a spontaneous duet with his idol, Bing Crosby.
Don't laugh at Hope's jokes too much. People will say we're in love.
That's wonderful.
Don't.
What's the next line? Keep moving. You're a hell of a target.
What's the next line? Don't dance all night with me till the stars fade from above. They'll say it's all right with me. People will say we're in love.
Before the year was out, Sinatra had made his second feature film appearance, singing 2 songs in the MGM picture Ship Ahoy.
It's the last call for love, and to say fare thee well.
It was his first film for MGM, but his last with the Tommy Dorsey Band. Frank wanted to make it as a solo act. He cut a record, The Night We Called It a Day, with Axel Stordahl arranging. Stordahl was Dorsey's arranger, and Dorsey thought Sinatra was getting too big for his britches.
Oh, another Joy Boy.
To please Sinatra, Dorsey had added a string section to the band. Now Sinatra was trying to make an exit, and wanted to take Axel Stordahl with him. Dorsey held the upper hand. His contract with Sinatra meant the singer owed him 50% of all future income. Frank Sinatra would only own half of himself. Sinatra accepted temporarily. They leaned on Dorsey heavily, made him an offer he couldn't refuse. The facts are a little more respectable. Sinatra's attorney also represented some heavyweight broadcasters. The lawyer warned Dorsey that it might be hard to get his music played on the radio if he didn't cooperate. Faced with a potential loss of a few $1 million, Dorsey decided to settle. Axel Stordahl was instrumental in forming the sound of early Sinatra. The arranger's seamless streams of melody complemented the young Sinatra's romantic delivery perfectly.
Sinatra recording, take 3.
Stordahl and Sinatra remained together until the late 1940s, when Sinatra moved on to a new musical phase of his career.
If you are but a dream, I hope I never waken. It's more than I could bear to find that I'm forsaken. If you're a fantasy, then I'm content to be in love with lovely you, and pray my dream comes true. I long to kiss you, but I would not dare.
Just give me 5 minutes and I'll have the other number ready. I'll get a smoke. Next number, boys.
The last record Axel Stordahl arranged before his death in 1960 was a reunion album with Sinatra. In September 1942, the hollow-cheeked singer with a mellow voice made his first solo appearance at the Paramount Theater in New York as an extra added attraction to Benny Goodman's orchestra. Girls in bobby socks lined up for blocks to hear the voice. The show sold out, standing room only, since the girls stayed to watch show after show. The live show was double billed with a movie, Star Spangled Rhythm, starring Bing Crosby. Although Sinatra was live and Crosby was on film, it would be a pairing that would recur many times over the years. The radio appearances kept coming. He became a regular on the CBS program Your Hit Parade, which featured the top songs of the week. Hollywood continued to beckon, though Sinatra was still seen as a gimmick, a special added attraction. In a cameo appearance in Reveille with Beverly, he sang Night and Day.
I think of you day and night, night and day, under the hide of me. There's an old, such a hungry yearning burning.
He played to a sophisticated crowd at the Rio Bamba in March of 1943. Cynics predicted he'd flop. There were no little girls in bobby socks in this crowd. But he won the sophisticated crowd over too. By the end of the week, the show was SRO, standing room only. In August, Francis Albert Sinatra made his first appearance at the Hollywood Bowl. Some people wondered if he should be there at all. Usually it was a venue for highbrow classical music and internationally known symphony orchestras. But the Bowl had money troubles. The powers that be took a chance. It was Hollywood, it was classy, it was classic Sinatra.
Old Man River, that old man River, he must know something, but he don't say nothing. He just keeps rolling. He keeps on rolling along. I'm tired of living, but I'm feared of dying. And old man River, he just keeps rolling on.
The skinny kid from Hoboken had really arrived.